I've got the answer right here, ladies and gentlemen, to everything that ails you. Now step right up.
One who acts like a duck about his salves and remedies. The cruel practice of making money on people's worries feared throughout the years as quackery.
I said cured of backache, nervousness,
any number of diseases.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Quackery. With you, as always, Dr. Will the Pill, my main man, John Boy. We are remote this week, but we will be getting back together and for your pleasure, for your listening pleasure here very soon. Today, we are talking about a man who is a real weird guy. We'll just say that. The episode's titled Baby God, which is a weird name, but you'll see why it's named that. And this is Dr. Quincy Fortier.
Can I make a comment about the picture you put on here of him? He reminds me of Tom Hanks.
Yeah, he sort of does look like Tom Hanks in that picture. I think Tom Hanks could play him and do a pretty good job when he's younger, for sure. Not a bad comparison there. I didn't see it until you said that, but yeah. All right. So have you ever heard of this guy, Dr. Quincy Fortier? Yeah, I hadn't heard of him either. I was just sort of fishing around documentaries to watch to get some ideas for episodes, and this one popped up, and I was intrigued. Okay, so he was a Las Vegas area doctor. He specialized in women's health and fertility. He practiced medicine for more than 60 years, and he was named the Doctor of the Year in 1991 by the Clark County Medical Society. He had 6 children. So when he got married to his first wife, actually he had 5 children technically with her. The daughter was from a previous marriage. And then later on, spoiler alert, when they got divorced, he adopted 2 more daughters when he was 55 years old. And he died in November 2006. So the reason I bring this guy up is the documentary is actually on HBO. Came out in December. It's called Baby God, and it's really crazy. If anyone's interested in this story, you should definitely check it out. It's where I got most of my research. There's also tons of articles about this guy and a lot of other doctors who are like him. You know, so far, so good. Seems like a pretty nice dude. You know, practicing medicine, working with a vagine.
He's going to be like some creep or something. I know.
So he worked in fertility, right?
Yeah.
So women would come in to get pregnant, and Dr. Fortier would give them exactly what they wanted.
Oh, God.
He didn't have sex with them.
Oh, okay.
But he did switch out the husband's sperm for his own sperm. And he didn't tell them.
Why?
Yeah. Maybe like a God complex or like, anyway. So we don't even know how many times he did this. It was a lot. He never told his patients this. So how did anyone find out, right? Starting in 1996 was his first lawsuit. A lady named Mary Craddock, she filed a lawsuit against Dr. Fortier, who was 88 years old at the time, still practicing. And she alleged that the doctor never told her he was going to use a mixture of biological materials from both her husband and a donor, which was Dr. Fortier. So what he said was, on the documentary, they're like, well, Dr. Fortier used to mix in some of his sperm to increase motility. I'm like, what? If there was no sperm moving before, and you put your sperm in there, that means your sperm are the ones that are going to be swimming. I mean, it's amazing. So she tried to sue him for $14 million, but they settled for an undisclosed amount, which was hush money. She wasn't allowed to talk about it. But what his attorney said was, in the state of Nevada, it wasn't illegal to do this.
What?
And they ended up settling because of that, and because they couldn't. In 1996, you couldn't prove any of this, right?
Yeah.
Well, that all changed in the 2000s, especially in 2006. You know those new DNA kits like 23andMe?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. I'm going to keep my sources anonymous here, but actually today, this is hilarious we're doing this. One of my buddies said, Oh, I got a hilarious story. My buddy told me he did one of those 23andMe homemade home kits. Found out that his ex-girlfriend, he had two kids with her. She never told him about. So he's going to meet him today.
Oh, they would.
Shit.
So if I, all right, so if he goes in there and does the DNA thing, they can tell him if he's got kids. That's weird.
If the kids
they
have done the DNA test. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So, okay. So like 23andMe, which launched in April 2006.
Yeah.
So what they do is they take the DNA samples from saliva, they process it on the genotyping. So it reads hundreds of thousands of like locations in your genome, and then they analyze it and they make these reports based on your genome. So what they can do, they can track paternal ancestry by looking at the Y chromosome. So they can look at like fathers to male children, and then maternal ancestry, they can do that too on the mitochondrial DNA. So the mother always passes that to their children. So they can determine mother and father from this test. So if anyone else has done it,
do they reach out to, like, let's say if someone gets it, and will they tell you if
on 23andMe? I'm not
like,
sure what their policy is. If they allow you to see, give you the contact information. But I know like Ancestry.com has a kit just like this now.
Yeah.
And so if you go do the kit on Ancestry.com, it builds out your like family tree. You can see all the people you're connected to. That's what most of the, as we'll see, most of the people will do. But what they wanted, the other non-sex chromosomes, the 22 other chromosomes, like they run all the data points against these huge libraries of people, and they can build out like who you're related to based on all this data. It's crazy. But I guess if you think about, so Dr. Fortier, he was
crazy.
This came out basically, let's see, he died in 2006, right? So by the time it had only been out for a few months, so he didn't ever think that something like this was going to be possible. Like in the documentary, they say it went from an unknowable to an unknown. So like he didn't think anyone would ever know unless they just, recognized they looked similar. Like because before that, it was unknowable to know that he had put his sperm in there other than the dad, other than, oh my God, he's not, he's bald and he's got glass, he has to wear glasses. Like that's what this guy looks like, exactly like him. Or whatever. So going on to another a guy who actually does the test, who looks exactly like Dr. Fortier, and he's a PhD in like genomic research or some shit like that, like exactly what this is about. And so he looks it up, and he's like, looks exactly like this guy, and he's like, I thought my field was very interesting until I became the lab rat for this dude, making all these children. So these people started doing their DNA kits, and it's like,
wow,
you have 23 half siblings, and it's like, oh shit, what's going on? And it all links up with this Dr. Fortier. They didn't know exactly how many total, but they actually interviewed his son, Dr. Quincy Fortier, Quincy Fortier Jr., and he speculated that hundreds, plural. Lots and lots. My father was real busy.
Jesus.
The other crazy part is that 24 have been verified 100%. So it's at least 24, and those people range from 30 years old to 80 years old. So he was doing it for at least 50 years.
Wow.
That man was able to jerk off pretty late in life. Maybe that's why he thought he needed to keep passing on his seed. It was that strong, that long.
Maybe we're one of his offspring. You never know.
I'm guessing it's sort of like, oh, I'm a doctor. I'm very smart. Why wouldn't I'm doing my duty to fill the world with all these smart children, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of like, eugenics people. Yeah.
Eugenics. I was just thinking
crazy. The weirdness doesn't stop there. Okay. Never does it?
Hey, I wonder how many other doctors that do this have done this. Like, do you think there's any more?
Oh, we'll get into that. That's a very good question. You're skipping ahead a few slides on me.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know. So, okay, so we'll go back to Dr. Fortier, and then we'll go back to that question. So he wasn't just passing on his seed unknowingly to all these young mothers to be, okay? He was also not the best father figure for his children that that knew he was a dad. His son, Quincy Jr., called him he crazy and a pervert, and nobody's, they didn't say anything about it for the longest time, and then finally that's why he and her got a divorce, because he was abusing the children as well. And in the
wow.
documentary, Quincy Jr. says, "I think the happiest he ever made me was when he was laying in his coffin dead. Then I felt safe."
Holy hell, man!
Crazy. Well, listen to this. This is some wild shit here. Okay, so remember I said when he got married that his wife had a daughter from her previous marriage, right? Well, that'd be technically his stepdaughter. So that her name was Connie. So she accused him of molesting her from the time she was about 4 or 5 years old until she was 13. So she said he would examine my vaginal area even if I only had a stomach ache.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, well, he was like, OBGYN, so he would probably pretend like he's being, her doctor. Like, listen, buddy, it's a long way to the stomach from there, pal.
Jesus.
Okay. Yeah. So then when she turned 17, she was surprised to learn that she was pregnant.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
She was
man.
not having sexual relations at the time. So she realized that for the timing, it must have been during a medical exam with her stepfather, who was later revealed to be the father of the child.
Oh my God, dude.
So Dr. Fortier insisted she must have the baby and send it to a home for unwed mothers to give birth. And
Jesus.
She tracked down her son in the documentary. She was writing him a letter that said that, explaining everything, and said she was getting a checkup and she wasn't sexually active. So, there was no way that it could have been anything else other than him. And what Dr. Fortier was saying was that he must have been artificially inseminating another woman, didn't wash his hands, and
oh
came
my
in
God,
and
there we go.
I said, gee.
It's wasn't there a basketball player that tried to say something like that?
Hey man, I didn't wash my hands. What's up? Come on.
Dude, it's
just so bad. It's so awful.
Crazy. I'd figure this guy would be more famous.
I know. It's surprising. And they don't talk as much about this. They do talk about the abuse with the daughter, but they don't talk as much about this miraculous childbirth. Like, she's not having sex and boom, virgin birth. It's crazy. So, okay, let's talk about his adopted daughters. So they're all in the documentary, like all in it, and they still love him. Like, they think, oh, Dr. Fortier was the best dad. He took the best care of us, blah, blah, blah. It's sickening. It's like they're brainwashed, okay? So he delivered these girls at the hospital, brought them home and raised them starting at 55. So he was all growing up their gynecologist as well.
Yeah,
and they were like, oh, it was perfectly normal because he was a doctor, and so why would we need to go to someone else? He just would, make sure everything was ship shape. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah, he's just a big pervert, man. He's like Herbert the pervert.
Herbert
on a Family Guy.
Hey there, mushrooms. Why don't you come on over and help me fish out a little change in my pocket there? I got some ice cream in the cellar. Call me.
That's perfect voice, man.
I've been working on my Herbert for some time. You piggly sumbitch. Yo, Herbert is so funny. It's so gross. So there you go. So the next thing is, this is so shocking to me. It's this guy kind of has a God complex. He's also a pervert. He's also an abusive father. He is also, I feel like he justified all these things he did in his mind. Like, I'm not telling him about this, but, I gave him a baby. That's what they wanted. They didn't have to know. And now they found out. And it's just so weird, right? Yeah, they found out that dozens of doctors have been caught doing this in America alone.
What? Oh my God. No way,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Why? I don't get it, man. Like,
That's so weird.
dude,
So gross, man.
that is so. I mean,
How would you feel? So that's what I was trying to do is like put myself in their shoes. How would you feel if
I'd
you
kill
found
him,
out that
man.
it wasn't your dad? Like your dad wasn't your dad and like this guy had just done it and you just found out later in life.
No, well, I didn't think about that, but if I'm the husband and my wife goes in, I would kill the guy. I would literally go kill him, man.
Pretty much. Well, I mean, that's the other thing is like, so the husband, I guess maybe, was infertile is, in these situations, maybe even not. I mean, maybe he was just, I don't know. But I always need to be careful because I have very strong swimmers. So, I need to I always have to wash my hands. No, I'm just kidding. That's so gross. Oh my God.
Yeah.
No, I can't even, this guy, man.
Man, this is crazy, dude. They should do. I mean, you said this was on HBO.
Yeah, they did an HBO documentary.
They need to put this on Netflix, dude. Everyone would be shocked.
I know.
This is
I'm surprised it didn't get more
man.
coverage on HBO. Quite honestly, yeah, it's called Baby God. If you guys have HBO, go check it out. I'm going to get into some questions from you, and then actually I want to tell you a really funny little tidbit of information that has to do with ducks. Has nothing to do with this.
Man, I don't know.
I know.
Honestly, I don't really. I'm just trying to put myself in like their mindset. I mean, it's got to be a God complex. It's got to be.
Yeah, it's just.
Like, why else would you do that? It's like a power thing.
It's definitely a power thing. I don't know if maybe he was like broken when he was younger. It's just weird. It's almost like wanting to prove, like, make your mark on the world, like, because I mean, he's altered the course of, human history with how many kids he has, and
what's interesting?
There's no going back. There's no going back now. It's done.
Is that he is abusive? I wonder if there's a correlation between the abuse, because the abuse is like you're powerful, right? You're overpowering a human being, and it's the same, not the same thing, but so I wonder. I mean, have they caught any of the other doctors doing this?
Yeah, they're getting sued.
I mean, they should lose their license forever.
So it's not illegal and all when they did it. So a lot of these doctors, like this one doctor here, director of a Dutch sperm bank, is being sued by 23 parents who they switched the samples. Fertility doctor fathered up to 200 children. Gosh, 200. 22 verified already. So I mean, it's crazy. You just wonder how many are walking around.
It is a weird form of eugenics if you think about it. It's kind of like the same mindset almost. Like they probably think, "Oh, I'm a doctor. I went through med school. I'm superior to."
So one interesting thing that they speculate on the documentary is this: they say they interview all these other OB doctors and who knew him and who worked in the area. Las Vegas area in Nevada, and they're like, ask him, they're like, hey, did you ever donate sperm? And, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh yeah, man. He's like, I must have gone into, cause you'd get money for it. He's like, I was in med school and they wanted us to come donate every week and we'd get paid drinking money, to come donate sperm. He's like, I could have kids, tons of kids. He's like, but that would have been the parent, the mother's choice to pick my sperm instead of someone else's. He's like, I never would switch my sperm with someone, And then they asked him, they're like, well, if you have a lot of kids, would you want to know? And he's like, no. And he's like, well, I don't know. He's like, put it out there. They can look me up. It's weird because it's like these old guys smoking cigars and stuff. They had never thought about it before.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't even care.
It's pretty weird, but
it is weird, man.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever gone and sold your
No. I never. I thought about doing plasma.
What's crazy? I've never sold my sperm or plasma. I've never sold any bodily fluids. But what's crazy is one of my interns said that since they had COVID and recovered, that they are selling their plasma now for big money. because it's got all the antibodies in it.
Oh, really?
They're paying them for the COVID, antibody plasma. Pretty crazy. I want to find out how much that is. Now I haven't had COVID, but I can go around the hospital ward, catch it.
Don't you have the antibodies? I don't know how this works.
No, so I have the vaccine now, so I don't have the antibodies. I just have the RNA sequencing that teaches my body to recognize the spike protein or whatever. So I don't know. Like my blood wouldn't help somebody recover, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
I guess. I don't know, man. It's
It's
also new. We don't know. So we don't even know if the vaccine, I've had the first dose, so I should be 85%, immune to catching it. But I don't know if I'm immune to spreading it. Like, let's say I come in contact with it and then I don't, show symptoms. Am I contagious? I don't know. We don't know yet. It's crazy. Very crazy. I would think I would be less likely to pass it on, but I don't. All right, anyway, let's get into this weird duck sex thing that I found out. Okay. All right, so ducks, mallard ducks, they said that forced mating is common. As many as 35% of a female's encounters are forced onto them so 1 out of 3 are rapes on ducks, basically.
Jesus.
So, but they're built in a way, which this is really weird to me, is that so the duck's penis is like this long tubey thing that goes into the vagina of the female duck, and the female duck's vagina is like it's wrapped around like small intestines, but there's these offshoots where the penis can go in the wrong place, so they can give a false insemination. Like they call them blind pockets.
Oh.
And so
what? So they can choose if they don't want to be pregnant?
So they said that she can like corkscrew her vagina and make it so if she's getting raped, basically she can reduce her chance of getting impregnated by like 95%.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
And she can do that, like consciously do that? Like
it says here, the female's corkscrew-shaped vagina, which has numerous blind pockets, can prevent successful penetration by unwanted suitors, such that 95% or more for chicks are fathered by her partnered male only.
Maybe she like clenches up or
isn't that
something.
Crazy?
And then
that's a pretty cool,
weird, yeah.
And I thought it was relevant because, quack, quack, and, forced parenthood. Ducks got it figured out, man. They've had this figured out long before we have.
Jesus. 1 out of 3.
I know. Poor thing.
Jesus Christ. I'm never going to look at a duck the same way again.
I mean, although you kind of think about animals, though, I would think probably that's a pretty on par number for animals. It's usually, I don't know. It just always seems like the male just jumps up and does whatever he wants.
Yeah.
If anybody knows, you could, email into the show, quackerypodcast@gmail.com, to let us know if you know about animal rape. We always find the weirdest things. The corkscrew vagina and the corkscrew penis.
Yeah.
That's love. All right. Any other thoughts on Dr. Quincy Fortier and his messed up God complex? The baby God?
Nah, I can't wait to tell Nicole
He
about
almost
this,
seems like a person you guys would cover like on your murder podcast. Like he didn't kill anyone.
Yeah.
That's actually the tagline for the show. Is that most it says some criminals take life. He gave it. Ooh. It feels like a murder. It would cover, but he's just putting his little spermies in everybody he can find.
Yeah.
That's crazy that he just kept doing it all the time.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's like one of those things where like, well, I've already done it 50 times. Why not 500? Who's gonna know?
I don't know, man. I don't know what to think.
If y'all want to weigh in, you can hit us up, post on our Instagram. And I haven't really been updating it very much, but if you guys want to interact with us, we can go on there more. After watching The Social Dilemma on Netflix, John and I have both basically been off of social media, but we can interact with you guys if you want. Just hit us up on there. You can DM us, and we can post some stories if you guys want us to, discuss this. But pretty crazy story. But I think that's going to do it for us today. A short one, but a very crazy one, I think. If this episode really quacked y'all up, you want to support the crew, head on over to quackerypodcast.com/join, become an official quackhead. If you have an idea for a topic you want us to cover, please let us know. You make sure and hit the subscribe button, follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check out all the pictures from the show at quackerypodcast.com. Rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. It makes a huge difference. Tell your friends, and as always, keep calm and quack on. And keep your sperm to yourself.